Just a reminder, this class is really to train your body to pay attention. So for the first move, the things that you'll be paying attention to are the exact move that you're doing, which is rolling your hips, and then the muscles that you feel working. So what you're gonna do, get with your knees a little closer to your chest. So you're not gonna be in 90 degrees. So bring your knees up a tiny bit. Feet are on the chair. Pretend there's wheels on the bottom of the chair so you can't push the chair away from you. So you're gonna start slowly peeling your hips off the ground. Don't drag too hard with the heels, but just think one vertebra at a time. You come up and then slowly go all the way down and completely relax. And then slowly roll up and just go back and forth. No breathing for this. All you're doing is you're rolling slowly, one vertebra at a time. You're not pushing the chair away from you. So just scoot closer to the bench, and then Leah, scoot closer to the bench, way closer. Think of peeling your hips off the ground, nice and slow. And the muscles that you should be feeling are glutes and hamstrings. And just all the way at the bottom, let them completely relax. And rest. So now you're gonna go upper body, let your legs relax on the chair. Both arms are gonna be reaching up towards the ceiling. You are gonna get wider through your hands. So you're gonna breathe in through your nose. Full breath out. Reach your hands up, allow your head to come back and relax it on the ground. Stay there on the inhale and then exhale, reach back up. And the goal is to get like a 10 to 12 second exhale. So try to count in through the nose, 10 to 12 second exhale. And keep your arms there as you breathe back in. So don't let them drop back down. You're just gonna keep them off the ground the whole entire time. Awesome, Alexander. So stay right there. Keep your shoulders there. Don't let them drop back down on the inhale. So just stay there. Each exhale, you just reach a little more. And rest. Nice job. So this next one, if this is too intense, go back to the first one where you're just tucking and untucking. If not, you're gonna put your arms to your side. You're gonna roll up a little bit where your hips are barely off the ground. From there, nothing moves. So notice my legs. I extend one leg, but I'm not letting anything move. And I hold for about 2 to 5 breaths. And then you start all over. Roll a little bit. Nothing moves. 2 to 5 breaths. And I say 2 to 5 because maybe 2 is plenty. And then start all over. Roll up. So whenever you're ready, just go at your own pace. And if it's too much, you start to feel your knees, then just go back to double. You're just really focusing on that one side. You should feel a ton of hamstrings. Alexander, scoot closer to your chair. Perfect. And you can put, everybody can put your arms to the side, so that can help you. That way nothing moves as you pick one knee off or one foot off the chair. And start all over between each side. And take a break. Back to reaching. So think of reaching slightly down, but you're still coming off the ground with your shoulders. So in through the nose. Allow your chin to go back. And you're still shooting for that 12-second exhale. So in through the nose, full breath out through your mouth as you reach up with your arms. And your legs are relaxed in this position. And the exhale should be like you're fogging up a glass window. And you're all muted, but if you weren't, I should be able to hear you. It should be loud and slow. And take a break. Nice job. Back to the single leg tilt. So arms to the side, roll up a little bit, nothing moves. Pick one leg off and just hold. And really pay attention to that one side. You should feel a ton of hamstring. And then go 2 to 5 breaths per side. And start over every time you switch over to the other side. So roll up and hold. And take a break. Nice job. So the reaching this time, you're gonna let your legs hover from the chair. So find a position that's challenging. And what I mean by that, I mean you should be able to keep your low back on the ground. Your back should not be off the ground. So you're gonna pick your legs up, let them hover. This is harder, this is easier. And then you're gonna reach your hands up and hold for breaths. So it should be a lot more challenging for your abs this time. As you fully exhale, your low back should come on the ground and then keep it there as you continue to breathe. And take a break. Nice job. Now you're gonna get rid of the chair. Get that out of the way, or the bench. So the first move, if your knees start to get tired, arms start to get tired, you can come down on your knees and continue to do the move. So it's gonna be a bent knee downward dog. And then Autumn, you can go on your elbows. So the breathing will be exhale, your weight over your hands. And then you're gonna inhale, you're gonna reach your hips up into the ground or up into the ceiling. But try to get your upper body to do all the work for you. So you're trying to get the nice overhead press. So exhale, hover your hands. Inhale, butt up in the air. Don't let your head go past your shoulders. So you're gonna stop right here. Exhale, nice and slow, back to your hands. Inhale, hips up. Exhale, back down. If you get tired, you can just switch to this. So whenever you're ready, exhale towards your hands, inhale, butt up in the air. But your arms do not relax. They're always pushing away. They're either pushing you away from the ground, going straight up, or they're pushing your butt up in towards the ceiling. And keep your tuck. And take a break. Now you're gonna lay on your back, alternating reach. I want you to reach so much that your chest starts to rotate to the side. So feet on the ground. You're gonna reach one arm up a ton to where you start to rotate. And you're gonna exhale through your mouth, nice and slow as you come down. And then inhale, chest rotates to the other side. And exhale, nice and slow. Inhale, reach up. But I want the exhale to still last about 10 seconds. So you have to drop nice and slow, and you're fully exhaling through your mouth. Think of your breathing driving all of the movement. On this one, I like to tell people to close their eyes, and with your attention, just follow your hands. Each inhale, you can reach a little more. And take a break. So now we're working on the exhale with the pause. So we do this one pretty often. So you'll be laying on your back, and the two things that you're telling yourself in your head is holding on to the tension, because at the end of the exhale, you are going to feel abs, and then letting it go. And what should automatically happen when you let it go is you breathe in automatically. So you almost don't even have to think of breathing in. So you'll lay on your back, in through your nose. You're exhaling, exhaling, exhaling about 12 seconds. Once you're done, hold for 5 seconds, and there you're really paying attention to all the tension that you feel, and then let it go, and just completely relax as you breathe in. And then repeat. It'll look like this. And relax. You can go ahead and get started. This is a one that gets pretty uncomfortable. You want to exhale until it gets uncomfortable. Think of squeezing all the air out of you. And holding it for 5 seconds might not feel that great. And completely relax on the inhale. See if you can make the exhale a little longer by slowing it down. The slower you go, the longer you can exhale. And the more tension you'll create at the end. Make sure your head's relaxed, neck is relaxed. And rest. Now you're going to go back to the downward dog with your knees bent. So you'll start on all fours. Pick your knees up so you're hovering the ground like a centimeter off the ground. Exhale before you go, and see how I'm pushing myself away from the ground? You're always keeping that reach. So don't let your shoulders relax. So you would fully exhale, and then inhale, butt up in the air, use your hands to get there, and then exhale back down. And if you get tired, you can have your knees come completely on the ground, but your arms don't relax. They're either pushing your butt up in the air or they're pushing you away from the ground, pushing your chest away from the ground. Looks good. Go a little slower. Still want to make the exhale long. And rest. Back to your back with the alternating reach with your arms. You're exhaling on the way down. It should last about 10 seconds. Inhale, other arm comes up, shoulder comes off the ground.
What's it mean if you're really bad at this one?
I don't know.
Just you're really bad at it, huh? Well, let me see how I do on this one.
Like coordinating it?
No, I just watched you, and I expected to get this nice roll, and it was like, ugh.
Oh, yeah, not having access to that motion.
Yeah, wow, okay.
Practice.
Yep, jeez.
Awesome. And on this one, close your eyes and see if you can just follow each hand with your attention. And think of your hand getting your whole body to deflate. As it comes down, your whole body is deflating. And relax. Perfect. You are going to go back to the exhaling. This time, you are going to add a little bit of a tuck. So you are going to start feeling your feet on the ground. I don't want your hips to come off the ground, so just a slight roll. So same thing with the breathing, just a little bit of a roll in through the nose, full breath out, and still relax on the inhale, but your feet never relax. So your tuck never relaxes. So that just gives you an extra thing to pay attention to. Hold for 5 to 6 seconds. And completely let go as you breathe in. And if you get distracted, which is hard because this exercise is hard, just go back to the breathing. Go back to the hold. Go back to your feet. And rest. Back to the downward dog. This time you're going to stay up there, but set up on all fours first. So you're here. Fully exhale before you go, and then go about halfway up and stay there for a few breaths. So in through the nose. You're reaching, but I'm not shrugging. I feel nothing in my neck, so you're reaching without shrugging. And inhale, stay there. And if you get tired, come down, reset, go back up. I want this to be challenging, but I don't want it to be too challenging where you're feeling your neck and knees. So reset if you need to. You're constantly pushing away. And relax. Nice job. Now you're going to go back to your back. You're going to do the alternating reaching, but you're going to add a iso hold with your lower body. So now it's going to be a lot harder for you to keep that position. But the breathing stays the same. Exhale down, inhale back up. To make it a little easier, bring your knees closer to your chest. Let the challenge your abs, bring your knees further away. Nice job. Low back should be on the ground. Still move your arms as much as you can. And take a break. You're going to go back to the exhaling. This time you are not going to relax on the inhale. You're going to keep the tension. So you'll also add the tuck, or continue to do the tuck. So push into both feet, and then instead of relaxing, breathe underneath your tension. So think of breathing into your low back, or keeping your low back into the ground is another way to do that as well. You're still holding for 5 seconds. You're still fully exhaling, but instead of relaxing, you're breathing underneath your tension. And the inhale should feel much deeper. And completely relax. You're going to do this 2 more times. All right, whenever you're ready, push down into your feet, roll your hips a little bit. Low back should be on the ground. Head should be relaxed, neck should be relaxed. The tension should be all mid-body. Whenever you're ready, go ahead and get started. You're fully exhaling. You're holding on to the tension. Think of breathing into the ground, especially into your low back. See if you can drive the air into that spot. And fully relax. One more time. Okay, whenever you're ready, find both feet, roll a little bit, and then full breath out. You're going to go one more round. And think of keeping your low back into the ground as you breathe in. And relax. Awesome. Now we're going to do squat hold. If you have anything to elevate your heels with, go ahead and grab that. That could be plates, a book. Roll up your yoga mat into a roll so you can elevate your heels on that. But a book works well too. And if you've done these before, you're going to notice that the heel elevation is going to allow you to just squat a little more with your hips underneath you. Almost. Cool. So, feet hip width apart, feet straight ahead. And you're gonna soften your knees from that position. Pull the back pockets down, and then notice my hips stay underneath me. So I'm not squatting back. So pull down, squat straight underneath you, or keep your hips underneath you and hold this position. Reach down. You're definitely gonna feel a lot of thighs, and work with what you have. So squat down to where you're being challenged, but you're not feeling any discomfort. That looks good. Becca, tuck a little more. Awesome. Ashley, tuck a little more. And as you come up, push into your feet and keep your tailbone tucked. So hips stay tucked all the way up. Awesome. And now back on your back, or not back, all fours. You're gonna go elbows and knees. Exaggerated cat-cow, or less exaggerated cat-cow. So exhale, allow the back pockets to come up. Inhale, back pockets get pulled down. Think of only moving through the back pockets, because that's the move you want to do on your squat. And you're just alternating from back pockets getting pulled down and back pockets getting pulled up. Inhale as they pull down towards your knees. Exhale as they come up. Nice. And then Leah, think of only moving through your hips. So your low back will definitely move, but think only the hips move. And rest. Awesome. So the position you found on your squat, that's probably how far down you're gonna go. This time you're gonna add a breathing and movement. You're going to inhale on the way down, exhale on the way up. You are going to go slow just because you're going with your breath. So you're in this position, and even if it's just a little bit, that's fine. Or even if it's below parallel, inhale on the way down, exhale on the way up. If I had my heels elevated, it would look more like this. So notice my hips stay underneath me. So whenever you're ready, you'll inhale on the way down, exhale on the way up. And just go a little more tuck. Right there, perfect. And then back up. Nice. And then back a little more tuck, go down. Autumn, that looks perfect. Nice. And take a break. Those look good. And then back to all fours on your elbows and knees. Practicing the tuck. Inhale, back pockets get pulled down. Exhale, back pockets get pulled up. And think of the back pockets driving that motion. So you might feel a little bit of glutes and hamstrings as you tuck. And then back to the squat, going up and down. Inhale down, exhale, come up. But you won't come all the way up because you got to keep your tuck. So your knees will still stay soft. So whenever you're ready. Nice, Jessie, that looks awesome. More tuck, Leah. There you go. Quads should be dying. And relax. And back on the ground with the tucking. See if you can get your hips to move even more. In both directions, as long as it feels good. Give me a little more tuck and a little more untuck. And relax. And now flip over on your back. You'll start with you'll end with what you started with, which is trying to completely relax everything in your body, even your mind, and see if you can hold on to that. The feeling of just completely letting go. And every time you go back to getting distracted, go back to this, which is completely letting go. Whenever you're ready, start moving around. Let me unmute you all. Nice job. Nice job, Leah.
Thanks.
You gotta keep tucking.
I know. I never practice. It's bad. I need to practice.
Autumn, how was that compared to not elevating your heels?
It was much better elevating my heels. But it was interesting because I had a session with Alina this morning, or earlier today. We're working on some wrist stuff, but of course we're doing breathing as well. And I couldn't do the squat correctly earlier, so it was in my head now. And so I was so happy when you're like, "That's perfect." I'm like, yes.
No, that looked great. Oh, that's awesome that you're working with her. Yeah, that's great. So does anyone have any comments or questions or run into any issues? Yes. How do you, is it Eli?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I was wondering if you're concerned with like a loud or sudden inhales after like the extra long exhales.
Not in this. So on this one, I even will encourage like a big inhale, because then when you inhale harder, you are able to feel more of a stretch, or you're going to feel more. So for this specific class,
Sudden contrast.
I prefer that. Especially, have you done one where we do the lat stretch?
This is actually my first time, but it was great. I really appreciate it.
Oh, cool. Awesome. I'm glad you liked it. We do one where we're like stretching our lats, and I encourage people to breathe in really hard, because then they feel like a massive stretch. So it allows them to pay attention to that and feel more. If we're doing things like dead bug, like on the training floor, if I'm training people, I don't want the loud inhale, and I will cue silent breath in.
Okay. Thank you.
So that way they don't lose everything, because I want them to keep the tension and actually get 360. But yeah, really good question.
I have kind of a general question, which I feel like I know the answer, but so the down supine with the reaching, I've actually been practicing that one a lot. I really like it. And then tonight it was so difficult. I couldn't get enough breath. And the only thing I can figure out is before this, I went out for a long walk, and finding it very difficult to walk and get enough breath with masks on. And like, would that have carryover an hour later to something like that? Like, I just couldn't get enough breath in that position, but I haven't struggled with that before.
That's interesting. Possibly.
Okay.
Your breathing can be like a good way to regulate like how recovered you are. Like the Buteyko breathing method has a test called the control pause. Have you heard of that?
No, just the Buteyko part. Now I recognize after.
Yeah.
Weekend.
And then there's a test that you can see like how well recovered you are. And on when I was really into it a long time, Leah remembers this, back in the day when I would make people do nasal breathing stuff at the gym, you would get a score. And on a stressful day for me, my score was in the 8-10 seconds. On a day that I was doing really well, I would get 30 seconds. So that would impact my ability to breathe. So I would say maybe, possibly. And other things too, stress, recovery.
Everything else has been great this weekend, and sleep and like low stress, but that would make sense since physically I was stressed, struggling to breathe over the last hour that I was out walking through a mask. So that makes sense. Interesting.
Yeah.
The test you just mentioned, is that like a max exhale test?
It's a regular breath out. So technically yeah, the test is take a regular breath in and then a regular breath out, and then plug your nose and see how long you can hold your air out without needing to gasp for air. So if you had to take a big breath in, it was too long.
So on like an empty tank, 30 seconds was like a good score for you?
30 to 40, ideally 60 seconds.
Okay.
Let me put it in the chat. And so what technically is testing for is how much CO2 is in your body. Because most people would think CO2 is bad, but we actually need CO2 in order to absorb oxygen into our body. And we usually lack it. So what that does, it increases the CO2 in your body so you can actually absorb the oxygen. So I just put it in the chat. It's really cool. And then so like some people that might not be able to handle the full exhale because they might have asthma, you can do a lot of things with nasal breathing.
I've used an app called Shift State that goes over like it makes you do a max exhale and time it, and then it like calculates exercises with breathing tempos depending on what your max exhale was.
No, what's it called?
Shift State breathing. It's like shift_state. But it's pretty interesting. It has like the nice little circle that grows, inhale, pause for a hold, closes for an exhale. It's a nice sound, but it was cool. When I first used it, I had a 23-second exhale. After about 4 weeks, I was up to a minute. I haven't improved much beyond a minute exhale, but I mean, I was super happy with the change.
Huh, that's cool. I have a friend that used to do uses the Spyro Tiger. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, Aaron Davis and Pat Estes and
Yeah.
Train Adapt Evolve are using that.
Mhm.
It was really interesting.
It's a small industry, of course. Everybody knows. Oh.
They're actually the ones that introduced me to PRI, so that's funny.
Oh, wow. It is a small world. Any other questions? Comments?
I have a question. So on the squat, you're supposed to keep your pelvis tucked until you reach 90, or just go down as far as you can while tucking?
What I try to get is people to get the sticking point. So, which is easy for you all to get, maybe not so much for clients. So the sticking point is, I want to see how far you can go and squat down, keeping your hips underneath you before you start to hinge back. So that's you losing your tuck. So if you can go all the way down here, hold the squat there. But as soon as you start to hinge back, that's where you want to call it and hold that position.
And so it's okay for your knees to glide forward a little bit over your, like near your toes.
Yes, as long as you got heel contact, then you're good to go.
So you're inhaling as you squat down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Inhale.
If you're loaded, are you holding?
What did you say?
If you're loaded, like with the weight, are you still inhaling as you squat down?
No.
Bracing?
I would say that I don't even cue breathing for a while with squats, like a goblet squat, and even Zercher. Like I cue them to exhale to like find their brace or find their position, and then whatever they choose to do at the time. And then it gets to the point where they're squatting a lot heavier, and I cue them to inhale and hold it. But there's like a transition where I don't even like worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
When it's not too heavy, like 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds. But then when it starts to get super heavy for them, that's when I switch to, all right, find your brace and then breathe in and do your exercise.
Gotcha.
Yeah, good question.
I have one.
Yes.
When I do, so like when we do the inhale, exhale, and like we slowly exhale, and then at first you had us relax, and then afterwards you had us, hold the tension as we inhaled. I caught myself when I would inhale with that tension, I almost felt like I was just tightening up in my chest as well. Like I almost felt like tension in here versus, I don't think I'm supposed to have it up there. This is just me assuming, but we're supposed to have more tension towards the abdomen, but I felt it like, oftentimes I tend to feel it here. And then you said, relax your neck and head. And I was like, oh, wow. Like I really felt like I was just holding so much tension trying to inhale. Is that normal?
Yes. Couple things. So the reason why you might feel it here is what the tension does when you hold on to the tension as you breathe in. What you end up doing is you push 360 expansion. So if you don't do that and you breathe in, then you just kind of breathe into your belly and breathe into your chest by expanding that way. When you hold on to the tension, you help distribute the air in a 360 manner. But you're also laying on a flat surface. So now you have your back, your whole entire back on a flat surface that can't like expand. So when you're laying on your back, that might be really hard. So if you're tight through your chest, you're feeling like that restriction. And what my business partner and I call it is drowning man. And you'll see it when you're taking someone through it, they like fully exhale and you're like, all right, now hold on to the tension. And they're like, and it's because they can't expand anywhere. So with those people, one thing you can do is just add a pillow. Because when you add a pillow, you actually open up a little bit of your upper back to expand. So you might feel less tension here. The other thing would be not doing it on your back and doing it in the seated position where you now have your chest, your back, low back, all being able to expand. But I always always teach it laying on the ground just because it's easier for a person to grasp onto it. But if
Can you do
are
a quick demo of the seated position? One?
Huh?
Can you do a quick demo of how you'd coach it in seated?
Yeah. So knees above hips. And then I will usually put a table here. So in through the nose. Full breath out. And the reason why I have the hands on the table is so they can't come down. So I tell them to keep the position. And then here it's the same thing. Hold on to the tension as you breathe in. And then they should be able to expand into their back and upper back. But yeah, that is definitely normal. And what I'll tell people too is what you're doing is you're breathing into areas that are restricted. So they're tight. So the more you practice this, the less restricted it should be. But Ashley, I do tell people it's going to be uncomfortable and it's going to feel weird. That way I give them that expectation. Because as soon as it does feel weird, people want to stop. So if I tell them it's going to feel weird, at least I give them that expectation.
Yeah, and then actually I think that makes sense now too, because I was just thinking, like, when we did the down dog, it was really easy for me to kind of reach and like fill that with air. But when we were lying on our back and reaching with one arm, I was like, why is it so hard on my left side? I mean, I know why, but like, it's just like, oh, I know I should be doing better and it's not, and it's just frustrating.
Another thing too you can try, and then for you too, Autumn, is doing it like in a 90-90 bridge where your hips are off the ground. Because there too, now you're opening up your low back to be able to expand back because you're picking it off the ground. But
Okay.
yeah, it's really playing around to see what positions work better for people and which ones don't.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I have a question on the exhale and like kind of holding it is sort of, I kind of noticed when like I'm trying to hold it, sometimes it's like I want to hold it up here versus down here. So I would try to like slowing down the exhale, I noticed helped. I wondered when you're working with clients, if you ever sort of worry when they're holding, how do you tell if they're kind of holding it more here or lower down in the abs where you want it?
Usually you can see it. And then a really good clue that they're doing that is they'll try to take a breath in between the breaths. So you tell them to hold it and then they breathe in. That's another, you know they're holding it too long. If I see that, I just don't even cue the hold. Because if they're struggling with that. But and then picking up the head as well, trying to add a pillow to see if that works. Because what you'll sometimes see is they're fully exhaling and their head starts to come off the ground. So when you see that, add a pillow to their head or underneath their head.
So pillow or get rid of the hold would be the way to help that person.
Mm-hmm. And then asking them too, where did you feel that? And then have them point to it. Because when you go to like a chiropractor or something and they're like, is it better? And it's not, but you feel obligated to say yes. I want to know that they felt it in certain areas. Like, did you feel that in your abs or did you feel that in your hamstrings? But then immediately I follow it through with, and if you don't, it's not going to hurt my feelings. Like, we have other things to do. Or if I'm asking them if it's better, like, does your shoulder feel better after that? And if it's not going to hurt my feelings. I always like follow it through with that. So I try to set the expectation for them to tell me that they felt it in their neck when I was asking them to feel it in their abs. And always tell them, like, I have like 20 other exercises we can try. Like, this is not the only one.
Thanks.
So that way they don't feel like they're failing. Yeah, good question.
I'm curious. So I have a lot of clients who have POTS. Are you familiar with that?
I don't think, what is it?
It's postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. It's like an autonomic dysfunction. So bracing their core often creates dizziness, lightheadedness. I'm sure there's other conditions that do that. And I was just curious if you've like experienced, so I'm thinking like trying to breathe under that tension would not be like they're comfortable and come right out of it. But I guess I would imagine it can't be that terribly uncommon, even just with other conditions so I was just curious if you had any experience with that with people.
I don't. But someone who probably would be Zach Couples, and he, you know who he is?
Yeah.
He has a debrief that he answers all these types of questions. I would send him a debrief question. So all you have to do is email him and subject debrief question and ask him that.
Yep.
So if he has any experience, because then he'll dig into the research and do all the work for you.
Okay.
Hey, Lucy.
Yeah.
Hey, on that, I do have a few clients with that and some other similar autoimmune issues. And I've noticed, again, taking it slow, but getting them up and getting them seated and even knees below the hip level. And just really, they're able to kind of get that breath underneath. I'll even help cue the ribs and kind of teach them to, again, kind of get that flow to go deeper. And that might be a way to at least start to see. It's just not quite as intense, yet they're still able to kind of quote unquote brace, or at least keep some tension in the abs to get that started, to learn how to distribute air into other places.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
Where's your cat?
He must be thrown off with the new setup. I don't know where he is. I fed them early, so maybe that he's already in bed. I'll tell him you said hey.
Please, yes.
Oh, cool. Well, this was awesome. You all did great today.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
You're welcome. I will see you all next Sunday.
Yes.
Bye.